Hey, this is Dave doing an update on the house fire project. I figured I'd do a video to show you what we got done with the furnace side of things. We started this Friday. We didn't have any of this drywalled, and we're dealing with outside temperatures of about 17 degrees at night, 11 degrees. So it hasn't been fun. We've been using, I put these nails up here and just hanging garbage bags here, and then I set this oil-filled heater in last night. But what I've been doing while I'm here, I've been running the salamander and blasting it from about 8 feet away. You know, the tape coat, sit in the truck for an hour while it dries. The bed coat, sit in the truck for 2 hours while it dries. And then pretty much from that, I was able just to do some touch up. And it's not a perfect drywall job or a mudding job, but it's pretty good for a utility closet. And then today, it's a Sunday, I figured I'd come down here and just work through the weekend and just get this done, because this is the only project I've ever done with all the house builds and all these things I've done that actually has a furnace on the same floor. Most of the houses I manage have a basement, or I have two that have furnaces, but it's just in a big, huge area, like a laundry room, where you're not dealing with a new construction house that hasn't been drywalled yet. So this really had to be brought to the actual finished stage. I even just shot down some base molding there just to make it look a little nicer. But anyways, this was the hard part. We left this hole here big enough to crawl through to get all of the plumbing and all the utilities and all that stuff done. And then my father-in-law and my Uncle Jamie, shout out to them, because they were actually able to do measurements. Jamie's one of the best HVAC guys I know, and he was able to take measurements that Sam took here physically, and we're able to get all of this bent. Sam isn't even really an HVAC guy, and he built this stand right here. It fit perfect, and we were able to hook all that in there. And you can see we have the accordion piece. I don't exactly know what that is called, but it's I guess it helps probably with physically putting it together, but also for vibration. So we have one there. Let's see if I can go upside down with the video. We've got one there. And this is a counterflow furnace. I figured I'd finish the ceiling completely. I made it to where this is completely open with no wood in it, except I have one running here right about here, just for some support, knowing that it's going to be able to go there. The exhaust is going to come through this corner here, come down class B pipe all the way down to the furnace. I'm hoping if it went perfect, I would literally have this thing up and running. And for now, to avoid the cold air return, just for now, we're just going to put a furnace filter on the top, and that'll be fine because it's just going to draw air in from here. But yeah, this has been kind of a little riddle. You had to do things in specific ways. I guess if I could go back in time, what I probably would have done, instead of leaving this the actual access hole to crawl in, it probably would have been easier to maybe not even put the bathroom HardieBacker board in yet and just have the hole cut here. But I guess live and learn. I mean, it went good. I only had to, this was all to avoid crawling in from way back here, because from there all the way to about here, well, actually more like right about here, the crawl space is only about, geez, you'd be lucky if you could call that even 18 inches. No, it wouldn't even be that. I can't turn my body sideways or else I'd get wedged in there. It's pretty tight. And then we did dig all this out, which was awesome, because we dug all of this out at least a foot deeper. And this is where 90% of the work was. Obviously, I have a lot going on here because of the kitchen, bathroom, and laundry room, just these two walls. So I guess another thing I wanted to cover, I was on YouTube. Like I said, I always like to try to put YouTube videos up that there's not a lot of information on. And I didn't find a whole lot on how you test DWV pipes, drain waste vent pipes. So I successfully did this one, so I guess I can at least make a video on it, because it did do it. It did hold it. You just want to make sure that all of your, they sell these test plugs that are really good. They fasten in. Apparently the technology behind them is the more pressure that pushes up on the bottom, I guess the tighter they get, because I think it's the shape of the rubber that kind of helps that. You just want to make sure that everything's sealed. You can do either a glued cap or a rubber grommet that has like a C-clamp on these, on like the kitchen and just any vanity sinks you have, or any like maybe 2-inch or smaller pipes. I just get these just because I just feel like they would obviously hold the water. It's like one less blowout you could have, I guess. But now that I've done it, okay, well, so you can get either the grommets or the just these glue caps. I think these are a little bit cheaper, and you usually have your glue out and all that stuff already, so that's why I got them for these. Just leave your pipes a little long, so when you cut it, you still have plenty of room once the drywall's in to get your adapter on for your Schedule 30. The trickiest one, I guess, is the tub. I'm not going to crawl down there and show you, but basically from where your P-trap is to your first vent, which right here, that vertical one's the vent that vents the tub. That pipe is called the trap arm. What I do is I actually make it to where the trap arm pipe that goes over to right before your P-trap, that's the exact length you need. Go ahead and fit everything as if you're going to glue everything in. So right now, the pipe that's coming down from the vent of the tub and the drain, the T that goes down, that actually just has a P-trap that's already glued on the twisting part of the P-trap, but not glued up vertically or on that. So what you do is you just leave that off, because they don't require you to do a pressure test on the actual P-trap of the tub. That's more of like a finish test where they just want it to like hold water. I don't even know how they exactly do it, but in a case like this, you can actually get away with unhooking the P-trap and just capping that pipe. Now down there, you're obviously going to want to use a rubber cap because you don't want to glue, and then I guess you could leave it long, but I like to actually have the pipe cut the exact length you need. That way, when it's all said and done, you got to crawl down there one last time and just glue your P-trap on, and then you're just ready to go. Now, the house I'm building, we had a situation where I might as well just keep walking around so you're not staring at the same stuff. We had a situation, second story. Obviously, you're going to be drywalling the ceiling ahead of time. So that's a situation where you're going to want to have that all glued in. You want to water test that. So what I did is they actually sell well, let me go show you. I actually have it. But they sell an 1.5-inch one that has a tube and a safety chain on it. This one has a chain too, but of course this would have been easier to do the test if I would have remember to bring my hose. I don't know if it's a brand thing, but as long as you get this brand, which I don't know exactly, but anyways, keep the brands together, and then you can actually just only own one hose. Because believe it or not, these things are kind of pricey. They're not exactly the cheapest thing in the world. But you have this thing, it says right on it. I think I covered a little bit in my last video, but I'll do more on it this one. You have to fill it to 30 PSI max air pressure, and it holds back 15 pounds or 13 pounds, I think it said, of back pressure. And like I said, I don't know the science behind the pressure. To me, it seems like there would be a lot more pressure on that, but I guess I don't know. All I know is that this was in the 4-inch down there, and it feels really tight. And then we had the water filled all the way from the backflow preventer all the way up, all that. So, I mean, out the roof, I mean, you're thinking, I would say a vertical 8 feet high. You could be as high as like, I don't know, 15 feet, maybe even up to 17 feet by the time you go all the way down to the bottom of the crawl, all the way up to the top of the ridge. That seems like that'd be a lot of weight, but it held. So there must be a science where the pipe itself holds some of the weight. I know that a lot of the horizontal pipe down below holds some of the weight. But anyways, this right here is just a valve stem. It's got this thing that you spin off, but it's just like filling up a bike tire. I'm just covering this because I was having a hard time finding a lot of information on testing. It's just got the valve stem there, and it sells like you can get an extension hose. But anyways, the one at the house build I'm building, if you have this extension hose, you can actually slide this down the bathtub vent pipe all the way past the T of the drain right above your P-trap and put the pressure in there. And that's what I did on that one. So that'll keep water from even coming up into the tub. But then I started thinking like, well, I don't really even I want to test the tub drain too to make sure that's not draining. So they sell caps that actually screw right into the tub drain itself. And then what you would do is you would just put this ball just down your vent pipe about 4 inches in, above your T of your drain tub, you know, the vent on your actual tub. You can just stick it down there. That way you get the benefit of testing the T and the drain to your tub, because that'll get filled with water. I think it might even be filled with just pressurized air, because if you have all that water, depending on how it fills up, I guess, yeah, you probably end up with certain pockets of air through the pipe, but a lot of it will just escape through the vent. But I'm sure there's some pockets of air. But even if you had some pockets of air, if you leave the water in there long enough, you'll know if you have a leak, because that water will eventually win, because it goes all the way up the roof. So even if you had some air pockets, it would probably just eventually just work its way through there. But anyways, that's that. So I guess just to keep from rambling on forever, whenever you're doing a water test, these things do work, because I was unsure about that. Make sure all your stuff's completely capped in. Get those red plug caps for like the toilets. And then over here, let's just hit the laundry box one last time, because they sell those too. They sell them in all standard size pipes. Home Depot and Lowe's and all the big box stores sell them. But right here, and they screw in really tight. And the way that and real quick with the water test, this was one that we couldn't keep air to read on here. It kept dropping for some odd reason. And a lot of times it might have to do with the pipes being super cold. So when you put air in it, the air condenses. But it dropped from 50 down to 40 kind of fast. I'm like, well, we must have a leak. We found a joint that wasn't soldered. We soldered that. Still, same thing. It was dropping almost just as fast. So then we're thinking, well, geez, there must be another joint that we couldn't find. We couldn't find anything for a long time. So I just said, Justin, we need to get the job done. So let's just turn the water on. We turned the water on and there was not one leak. So in this case, since we're already hooked to the city, we were able to fill this. Now I would assume an inspector would think that's okay, since this has already had water in it with no leaks for, geez, 2 weeks now almost. But I had to do a little something goofy here. Usually you would just come from the bottom, but I have the laundry and just the way it goes sometimes in construction, I had everything kind of going in here. We definitely didn't want to put the valve over on the kitchen side, because, you know, who knows, someone does some backsplash with, you know, the tile and cabinets and wall cabinets. The last thing you want to do is have to get in behind a wall and where there's a kitchen. So this right here, even that's low, it's out of the way. The valve I had to set up a little bit higher than you usually would on a tub. I just wanted to get some more distance there. And then at least if you had to get through here, you just pull the appliances out and you got a big wall to work off of. You can actually pull this out if you had to, unscrew the gas, turn the gas off, that whole thing pops out. Actually, you would still have to cut the drywall out a little bit, but that's a lot better than having to move cabinets. But you probably would never have to take that out. And this is another thing, I ordered it online. To install these, what you want to do is they have a little center line. Well, I might have drawn the center line. But you don't want to put your dryer here to center, because you're too high up. But here, especially once you add that tile, the way that this works is this goes right through here, right through the bond. But you can hook the flex line, probably get like one of those 4-foot flexible ones, and it just comes up and then snakes. And then right here, you can put a hard 90, or you could just flex it and hook it right to it. You'd probably just want to hook it right to the dryer. But you want your dryer on these, the center of the dryer to be about center between this gas pipe and this. And that's perfect. So if you're ever laying this stuff out and you're going to want to use one of these, just make sure you line it right here, because that's where the center of your dryer will be to the wall. In this case, I liked this area because just the distance we had, we ended up with like 4 inches spare. So basically, I think I just centered 2 inches off this wall, 2 inches off that wall. And so I will have some play here if something wasn't perfect, but usually you put it to center there, pipe stays in the wall, flexes down and out, and then you can shove your appliances, probably not all the way against the wall, but you know, you'll get it close. And that's a lot better than, I've always found it annoying when you can't get your dryer all the way to the wall, and then it almost forces you to set your washing machine out to that, because you definitely don't want the face of them being a different depth from the wall. But there's codes on this. I think, you know, this standpipe, drain pipe, they have a specific thing. They don't want it too high up. They don't want it too low. A lot of plumbers say 20 to 22 inches. So I just put mine at 21. And then, you know, I've covered this in other videos, but this is where a lot of people make mistakes. They put an S-trap here. You definitely want, you know, it's whatever the pipe diameter is, 2 inches times 2 from the trap weirs, which are these curves right here. And then right here, that's the weir, kind of like a low head dam. As soon as that water starts crusting over, that's called a weir, W-E-I-R, I guess. And that distance there has to be a level distance of 4 inches or more. So if it's a 3-inch pipe, 3 times 2, 6 inches, you don't. So I'm about probably 6 inches. So this is code. The idea behind it is when this water is rushing down, this hose is of course right in my way. This pipe, this P-trap can get filled solid, like 100% water. The water from here has to travel horizontal enough to where the water will drop to allow the air to come back this way. And so that's the idea behind it. They want a certain amount going level so you don't completely have this pipe solid. Because if this pipe is solid of water, you're going to suck out 100% of this P-trap. And the whole idea, obviously, of a P-trap is so you don't smell stuff, because it's hooked to the old original way is they'd put a big, huge P-trap underground right on the main of the house, but those things get clogged constantly. So now in new building, they don't put the main one, and they just want every fixture to have a P-trap. So that's the idea. Just think of the venting is having your thumb on a straw. When you pull it out of the glass, the water won't run. As soon as you take your thumb off, the water drops back in the glass. This is the straw. So that's why you need the air from the sky. It's kind of a good idea, a good invention. You know, it's taken us years to figure it all out, but we're still changing codes all the time. But yeah, we did a good job. And then this has got a double, back to this, I guess. We got a double, we have the rough OSB, and then I put another one. It's finished plywood on one side. I mean, you know, you want to make it look really nice. I mean, it's a utility room, you know. And then this is 3/4. The hardwood floor will be 3/4. We ran it inside the door on the back side. That way, right here, you don't have to do anything fancy. We're just going to run the flooring up to that. And then when the door is closed, it'll just look like a nice wooden floor all the way through there, because the door will sit on the front side right in here. So anyways, that's the update. Like I said, I did the one video. I hadn't done a video in like 3 or 4 months. I mean, we were just going full blast, and then winter hit so fast that I just didn't feel like I had anything interesting for content. Then here's where the panel is. Oh wow, this is a long video. We got this all in. I know it looks maxed. We've got 2 spare breakers in here. And I put the spare boxes up there. I just went ahead and put the breakers because whenever I put spare wires in, I always come back even on some of my own houses, and I wish I bought the breakers because that's a special trip back to the store. So I just bought 115, 120. I already put them in there. And so when this is drywalled, I also have the box labeled up right about there, a round nail-on box with the 14 and the 12 gauge wire in there that it literally says spare 1, spare 2. That way, and then it's a good idea on panels, because it might not be me. It could be Justin, or it could be someone who wasn't involved in this. You want to literally write on here, spares, maybe like a sticker up here. You could write, spares are located on the backyard gable, center of back window, up in attic. You can explain to people where the spare wires are so they can actually find them. Because if you just write spare 1, spare 2, well, that's good. Well, where are they, you know? So anyways, that's it. I'll just keep thinking of stuff to do videos while we go through here. We're getting ready for the insulation inspection. We have gotten a lot of that. We have a couple spots that still need to be stuffed. Like I saw that there's a spot missing right next to that light there. But yeah, it's moving along. We're about ready to start drywalling, and we already have it here. So anyways, this is Dave signing off.